What Drives You is brought to you by Ziglar, your premier source for equipping life and leadership coaches. Visit Ziglar.com and let them inspire your true coaching performance.
Yeah.
Welcome to What Drives You. I'm your host, Kevin Miller, and thanks for joining me as I talk with today's most influential changemakers to uncover what truly drives them and extract the big takeaways from their insights so you can integrate that wisdom and leverage the power of your unique inner drive and wake up every day to your authentic, driven, and inspired life. In this episode, I wrap up our series on mindset, specifically looking at what a growth mindset really is and the understanding that most of us, me included, are not in fact walking out a growth mindset, not as much as we would like to think, but we're stuck in performance. This is our big idea, big takeaway, and big action episode where I aim to distill down the series to its essence. So I kicked off this series by talking with Stanford-trained mindset expert Eduardo Briceño. He's the author of The Performance Paradox, Turning the Power of Mindset into Action. And it's Eduardo's research on how we miss the growth mindset that was my catalyst. He's also co-founder of Mindset Works with renowned Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck. I then brought in for part 3, Tom Ziglar, who's son of famed growth mindset expert Zig Ziglar and CEO of Ziglar. Ziglar's as a company is one of the most premier growth-oriented companies that I know in existence. So from these talks, I've just been made greatly aware of how, again, I too get stuck in performance and am not actually taking the steps to grow, to be in a growth mindset. So in reviewing all the notes for the actions that I want to take towards growth, I came up with some key points. I want to share them with you now. All right, so let's get into these highlight issues, the big takeaways, big ideas, big actions for growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. So again, I started this off with saying, this spoke right to me. That's why I do all of these series, because if you said, Kevin, do you understand what a growth mindset is? I said, yes. Do you have one? I would say yes. So are you walking that out? I would say yes. And what I found out in talking with Eduardo specifically, Eduardo Briceño, is I am often not. So here's 3 big statements that are from Eduardo. I'll lead off with. Growth mindset is not a silver bullet. It needs to be in tandem with effective strategies and habits for growth. Next one. Just because someone is in a growth mindset doesn't mean they know how to learn or implement effective strategies to actually improve their skills. And next, to grow and succeed, we must develop the belief that we can change, as well as the competence for how to change. That's, again, a big statement. We must develop the belief that we can change. If you ask me, Kevin Miller, Kevin, do you believe you can change? I say, absolutely. But as I've been working through this performance paradox book with Eduardo, I'm realizing that often there's times when I'm not really, I don't know if I would look at it and consciously say, I don't believe I can change, but testimony would show that I'm not making the effort to really change. I'm not risking anything. I'm not trying something new. I'm just going along performing. So again, growth, we think of this as just being open to growing. And we often get confused in that by thinking exposing ourselves to new information and gaining knowledge is a growth mindset. And we do that consistently. And I'm not going to diss that either. I mean, it's so great that you guys are listening to this show and reading books and going to conferences and whatever you may do. Same with me, man. I'm doing that. I'm taking in so much information, but I have to watch and I think that's the benefit is, we're going to get some by osmosis. It's hopeful, it's positive, it's better than just mere entertainment. I think, for the most part, I say that because I like entertainment too, but I'm going to budget that. But I can often think that because I am exposed to so much information and knowledge that I am growing. And I think I said this in one of the shows in the series. It was really profound to me when I wrote my book about how much knowledge I was able to dredge up and pull up, wisdom, you can even say, from the sages, all the people, 250 plus now or whatever I've had on the show. And of course, just a lifetime of pursuing personal growth. And I hope some of my own, my own stuff too, but also how much I had in my head that I had not taken action on. And it really was profound to me. And it continues to be. Obviously, that's why we're doing this. So not making sure that we don't think that just because we're filling ourselves with new information, we're exposed. Think about it as exposure doesn't mean we are actually doing something different to actually learn and grow and get better. And it made me think of having let's say that I have a growth mindset. Let's compare it to having a muscle mindset. Okay. So let's say that I have a muscle mindset. I believe in it. I value it. I'm reading Muscle Magazine. I'm listening to Muscle Podcast and watching documentaries of that. I have a lot of knowledge. I know I have the understanding of how to build muscle. Okay. Wisdom even. However, what if I don't personally ever actually work out? I don't ever actually go on a run, go on a ride, lift a weight, do a yoga, whatever it is. I don't actually do anything to create muscle, do resistance training. We just did a series with Dr. Gabrielle Lyons, her book, Strength or Forever Strong. I'm sorry. Her book, Forever Strong, is talking about that. So again, I can listen to her and I hear it. But if I'm not working out, not eating protein, I'm not going to do it. That's what we're talking about here. That so many of us, we really enjoy getting this new information. Again, it's hopeful, it's just informational, but until we actually take action on it, go lift a weight, it's questionable whether we are actually growing as a person. We may be growing in knowledge, but we want to grow. Maybe that's it. Gosh, I hadn't thought about it that way. That, growth mindset. So yeah, I'm growing in knowledge, lots and lots of knowledge, infinite knowledge and information. I'm growing in that. Okay. But am I actually growing my life as a result of that? And again, I don't want to be down on us, man. I am grateful for us all taking in all this great information. Me as well. I'm just going to I'm sensitive to going, gosh, how much am I taking in? How much am I actually learning? Even to the point of, and I talk about this quite a bit, there are times when I realize I don't need new information. I need to go back to some of the information that I've gotten and I need to study it. And so there's books or some. I'm in my home office recording this intro or recording this episode. You can see some of the books behind me. Of course, at my office, I've got hundreds and hundreds of books. I've got another bookshelf over beside me here. And there's books there now that I am in my, later years or my older years now, going back to again and again, because I want to learn. I want to actually grow. And this is really the essence of what Eduardo talks about, the performance paradox. That's the name of his books, the book, The Performance Paradox. That's his research that he brings out there. And we really got into looking at aspects of, performance over actually learning, performance over production. And the reality that most of us pursue jobs, businesses where we do the same thing over and over. And we know the benefit of that. Even like with sports, to practice your free throw like Michael Jordan did 100 times a day or whatever he did. To do that, it can make him perfect at that. And he's doing that. But that's all he does, and he doesn't learn some new moves, some new shots. He may realize that he's going to have a new opponent, let's say, on the court that's doing something different that he has not seen. Oh man, that guy jukes and drives and, does some things different, or the guy's really short. I'm gonna have to guard him differently, or the guy's super fast or super huge or whatever. He's going to have to change. He can't do that. He's going to have to learn and grow. There's times when we need to go beyond just doing that thing. Like the practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect in that thing. Does it help you grow overall? So I'm going to use a sports analogy because it's really interesting to me. Think about, for those of you who watch football, I grew up on football, don't watch it anymore, but think about the NFL. It's still one of the most popular things, at least in America. Those guys basically train all year. I actually looked at some of the details, and if I got them, if somebody out there's in the know, and I'm going to be off, but get the concept here. Go with me on that. They play 17 times ish a year. That's their performance. They're on the field and it's raw performance. They're not trying something that they don't know dead cold. Okay, this is the free throw they've done 1,000 times. This is the play they've done 1,000 times. These are the moves that they have done in their specific position 1,000,000 times, right? This is performance time. They do it 17 times a year. So you guys, if you watch it, that means at 17 times, they spend whatever it is, 3 or 4 hours, whatever a game is. That's their performance. After that, all they're doing is training. I even look, they take like 11 to 15 weeks off in the off season. That's 2 to 3 months, depending on how far they go in the, playoffs and Super Bowl. But what I found out, or what I, learned online, is that the players generally only take 2 to 3 weeks literally off before they get back into their personal training. So they're kicking butt for training camp, the team camp that's going to be starting. So they really only take a few weeks off. They're spending the majority of their year training, learning, growing, breaking down, building back up, trying new things, getting stronger. That's really their job. So in the NFL, their job is to have a growth mindset and literally walk it out so they can perform 17-ish times per year. I think about that as not depicting our lives. We go into a job and you whether you own the business or whatever, but you find your role and you go in there and you do it day in, day out, over and over and over, and you're performing. And that's what we got to talk about with Eduardo, especially. I mean, you get into self-image things of, gosh, do you not want to fail? And even me, man, I want to perform. I want to please people. I want to impress people. I want to perform. And how often am I just performing and I'm not stepping back then and going, okay, how do I really hone my craft? How do I do something better? How do I become better? That's a big part. We have a lot of therapists on the show. A big part of therapy is I want to retrain my brain, learn some things so that I can actually do something different, be better, and grow better. And I'm going to say that I am going to throw in that be better, and with the caveat of, and be okay with who you are today. Love who you are today, and you're enough today. All those things, those are relevant. I don't want to minimize that at all. And I personally feel a desire, a joy, and a responsibility to also take what I've got, be a good steward of it, and grow and become better. So how often are we stepping back out of our performance, out of our roles to actually train, to try something new, to learn a new skill? He talked about, Eduardo, about proving. How often are we out there to prove ourselves and we don't improve? I mean, think about it. The NFL players were playing every single day. They're just out there to perform and prove every day. They would never have a chance to go back and improve. And they've got to, because some other players out there, younger, hungrier, and they're going to get beaten out. They've got to stay at the top and actually improve, which is interesting. On a business aspect, just to jump over there, we talked about this with our Eduardo, that again, we tend to do the same thing day in and day out. And we think, I've just got to perform every day. I got to get in there, do the grind, and I've just got to perform. There's not really time to do anything else. And yet, when we see this happen in business, with businesses as a whole and in each specific role, if we don't get better, we don't actually grow, somebody's going to come along who does it better or does it different, does it cheaper, add something new, and we're going to get beat out, which is why Eduardo actually says, this is out of his book, and I think I mentioned it in episode 1, that he said, we all want to do well in our job, but if you're in a fast changing economy, as we are, we need to, he gave us 3 ideas. Identify unmet needs. So in any business, there's some frustration. Customers are realizing something. There's somewhere we can identify an unmet need, or identify it amongst our team, our employees, even our coworkers. Identify unmet needs, drive innovation. Innovation to me is paramount, and give personalized service. Maybe we can't do the task, the service better, or we can't make the product any better. We can definitely take care of people better. Those are 3 opportunities. And I thought about that. Some of the industries that really feed off innovation. Think about medicine. Like if you're a surgeon, and they're always coming up with new materials, new techniques, to do surgery better, quicker, more error-free. Lighter, faster, yada, yada. You got, innovate. We're not doing surgeries the same way as they were done 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, probably. Space exploration is one of the big things that's happening right now, going to space. And it's because of new technology. We know that with cars and Teslas and whatnot. In tech, we expect innovation. We expect that. We expect to get a phone and know it's going to be obsolete really fast. What about us? We can still, again, this is what Eduardo was talking about. We get stuck in just performing, and we're not doing what we expect from a lot of our culture out here. Are we getting better, learning new things, bringing new things to our employer, to our customers? I really appreciate Eduardo talking about, he talked about Beyonce and how she does her big performances. And then when everybody goes back, all of her performers go out, and party and celebrate the big performance. She goes to her room or whatever and watches it and sees, how can I do this better? How can I do? She critiques it. The critique often has a negative connotation, but obviously it's worked for her and she critiques it. We know that. Go back to the football aspect. You play a game and then what do you do the next day, often the next week? You watch it and you watch every player and you watch yourself, and the coaches are pointing out, hey, this is where somebody made a mistake. This was a great play. Let's do more of that. And we critique it. When do we do that? I really have to force myself to go listen to myself, do a podcast, and to realize, Kevin, that was a bunch of ers, like that kind of stuff. You guys hear me do it. Sometimes I get stuck in that. If I'm trying to come up with something and you fill the space, or like I need to pause. And I also get excited about stuff and I start talking really fast. You guys hear that too. And it doesn't come across well. It's easier to listen to, and it's really more profound for the listener to give pauses, to talk and give some gravity to something. And yet I get talking fast. I need to audit myself, and we can also ask other people, hey, critique us. I'm so grateful for people who do that with me. I had a friend one time, one of my closest friends, he said, man, I love your shows. I love the guests you have on. Sometimes I want you to stop talking and let them talk more. That's fair enough. So, what are the actions then that we're looking at as an aspect of this? What can we do to really pursue growth? Because sometimes you can hear this and go, okay, so what do I do? I read this book or I heard this information. What do I actually do? But this is the benefit of taking a course. Look at an area that you want to grow in. Let's say it's on a personal side, get a therapist. Go get therapy, get a counselor, whatever it is. Or it may be a coach. For you, well, it could be a health coach, it could be a business coach, it could be a performance coach, even though we're talking about performance, but you get the idea. Somebody that can help look at you, audit, critique, see where you want to grow. What would benefit you if you could increase? Maybe a good way to look at it is to go, gosh, if you could, we just did a 10X series, like 10X or 2X, if you could increase some aspect of your own performance, skill, talent, ability, knowledge, whatever, that you could apply, what would it be? Maybe you can find a course, an online course. You probably can't. Or you can hire a coach or a consultant. Or you can look for somebody who's knowledgeable and just ask them for a little bit of time. Literally, ask somebody for a phone call, a Zoom meeting, ask them out for coffee or lunch if they're local near to you. That is one that I was really guided in, advised to do. I saw that in my dad. He would do that. And it's amazing how people that you wouldn't expect to say yes will say, sure. People are so, ask them for help. I mean, it feeds the ego for one, who doesn't like to talk about what they know, but it's also just so honoring. So can you audit a class? Take a class. Maybe you need to go back to school, take a class somewhere just to learn. You can go to a college and take a branding class. I don't know if that's always the best place to do it. You can find those things out in the private sector as well, but you can apprentice someone. We don't do that anymore. But to learn to do something new. I even think just the aspect for your brain of just trying some new things, practice a growth mindset just in your life. If you've never danced, go take a dance class and think about it, that you're doing it to grow your mind, to open up different things. I would venture to say, let's just take that as an example. If you have never danced, you have no idea, you think you have two left feet, that's okay. You're not doing it to impress anybody. Maybe you will though, but you're not doing it. You're doing it for brain training, literally. What would be the possibility of you taking dance classes and doing something totally out of your comfort zone, working new areas of your brain, and all of a sudden you realize some innovative ideas for your work or your relationships? It's interesting. I'm so prone to do the things that I know I do well: trail run, mountain bike ride, my certain resistance exercises. And this year I went on a big adventure with some guys in Mexico, and we mountain biked. So I was a rock star. Then we surfed. I had never surfed. Water is not my most comfortable place. I was terrible. Really, I mean, literally, no joke. I'm not exaggerating. I was disappointingly bad at it, but it was interesting. It was a great experience, and it gave me a new perspective on the water. And I'm kind of now afterwards eager to do it again. I also did a stand-up paddleboard on a river. That was new. I wasn't as bad at that, but I wasn't great. I snowboarded for the first time. Now I'm out here in Colorado. I ski plenty, but I've never snowboarded. Had that. It was okay. Didn't thrill me, but it's just new things. A bigger thing is hiring more team and partnering with people. So I'm trying this stuff. Man, I get stuck in the performance aspect of this. So I'm going to end then with he has these growth propellers is what Eduardo talks about. 5 key elements that drive growth. I'll leave you with this. These are not actionable items, but I just gave you some actionable items, some concepts of actually taking action on this. But these are some other ways to identify and participate in a growth mindset. Number 1 is identity. Are you somebody who learns? Again, we're going past just knowledge and information, but you actually are learning. You are actually taking action on something. You're becoming something more different. Maybe a little risk, even if the risk is just discomfort. Okay, but who are you becoming? Who are you differently becoming and growing into? That's number 1, identity. Number 2 is purpose. Having a purpose. What is your purpose? Is it just to make a buck? Is it to serve people? Is it to make more bucks? I mean, what is the purpose? What are you really doing aside from just surviving the day? What is that bigger purpose? That's a big part, of course, of what my book, What Drives You, is about, is finding your purposes in the key areas of life. Number 3, beliefs. That's one that's always paramount to me. Again, I would think that I'm somebody of good beliefs and healthy beliefs, and I'm open-minded, and yet I find out so often I have confined myself in some beliefs. I need to open myself up. Doesn't mean there's not some absolute truths. I'm not getting into doctrine and spirituality necessarily, but even the things I just believe about myself and the limitations, limiting beliefs. We hear that a lot. Identity, purpose, beliefs. Number 4 is habits. What are the habits that we can employ to become something different? What are the habits? If it's easy, again, if you want to look at getting healthy and well, your habit is getting up in the morning and spending some time doing some kind of an exercise or something like that. That's a habit of learning, doing something different, working out, not just physically, but to work out something different in your mind, in your body, in your identity, I would say. And then last, so identity, purpose, beliefs, habits, community. Finding a community of growth-minded people. It's so powerful. And something you'll be hearing from us pretty shortly in this new What Drives You brand that we are now under. And our focus is there of having a community where we can come together with other growth-minded people who want to increase their drive, better their drive, speed their drive, give more peace to their drive. We'll be doing that. So there's my big takeaways, ideas, and actions on really walking out a growth mindset, not giving head knowledge to it, but saying, no, I am walking out a growth mindset. I am growing. Well, friends, thanks for tuning in as we all work to leverage the power of our unique inner drive and wake every day to our authentic, driven, and inspired selves. Thanks again to Eduardo Briceño. He's my Stanford-trained mindset expert. His book is The Performance Paradox. That was our primary muse for this series on mindset, on growth mindset. The Performance Paradox is the book, turning the power of mindset into action. He's co-founder of Mindset Works with renowned Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck. She is the godmother of mindset. You can find Eduardo at BRICENO.com, Briceño. Also, thanks to Tom Ziglar for joining me in part 3. He is, again, son of Zig Ziglar, CEO of Ziglar. Those guys at Ziglar, I have been so blessed to be a part of them for so long now. And they are a growth-minded organization. That's what their coaching is about. And their expertise today is in equipping coaches to go out there and help other people grow and change and better themselves. You can find them at Ziglar.com. And friends, if you appreciate the podcast, want to share it with others, please give us a rating on Spotify and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. You can see these episodes in full at YouTube and see all of our social media. We do so many clips of all these things and pull out some of the really great nuggets. You can find me anywhere on social media, YouTube, Kevin Miller, CO. And if you want to learn how to master your own inner drive, get my book, What Drives You. get it on Amazon, any format you want. Until next time, stay driven.
Yeah.